Hey friends, I had a moment today where I was working on music with my daughter, or rather, this was the moment before we started a series of moments, a bit longer than I might have wished for, but that was kind of the point. I observed something. That's something I've observed for a while, but I've observed it more recently, and I work. I practice. I help my daughter practice violin. If you haven't caught my previous posts, it's something that she started about 2 years ago. She's a little over 2 years ago now. She's 5. She'll be turning 6 in September. She's doing great. She clearly takes to it. She has quite a bit of musical. Um, she's developing really wonderful musical skills, and but the practice process has been an entire. It's like an epic poem for me. It's an ongoing macro learning in my life, and because I'm a musician myself, and I am doing my best to impart what I know, but also, not even really impart what I know, but just doing my best to help her gain an entry into music in a way that works for her. And the way that works for her is not always what I have in mind or what I think would work for me. I can't even really be sure that I know what works, what would have worked for me at that age. So, it's a lot of shooting in the dark. But I noticed something today where before we could get started, we went to play, we started one piece, and then she immediately wanted to make some adjustment to the violin. She wanted a cloth on her shoulder, on her chin rest, which is, she's asked for that before, nothing too unusual. But then as we started to put this cloth on the violin, all of a sudden, like, all I had to do was touch it, and she didn't have a meltdown, but was just infuriated that I could do such a thing, and threw the brakes on, stopped, just basically wouldn't budge for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. And it's something I've noticed before. It's basically, my interpretation is it's a way of stalling the beginning of something that is difficult, right? Practicing an instrument is difficult, especially for young people. Marshaling the focus and the kind of attention to detail that it requires, it's no joke. It is no joke. And so I felt that, and I was like, okay, there's that familiar old thing, because it's happened before, and or at least it's manifested in other ways where the upshot is a pretext for deferring the beginning of the practice process. And depending on the day, that can be drawn out for excruciating lengths of time. And what I noticed today, because this feels like, on one level it's like, okay, well, she's delaying something that's difficult, right? That's a simple explanation. There's a deeper one, though, which is that she's waiting to see what's more important, my playfulness and ability to stay in a loving space with her, or getting practicing done. She wants to know what's more important to my papa. And so if I get irritated or I get impatient, it's taken as a sign that the music is more important than the love or the relationship. And I swear, today I did a pretty good job today, not a perfect job, but I did a pretty good job today of seeing that, of recognizing that, and going, oh, okay, let me not go off the rail. Let me not allow myself to get impatient with the task before, and put the task above the relationship. That's I would say it's one of the fundamental challenges of parenting or of anything else. It's funny because my wife offered me this phrase, which she had gotten from a coworker recently: relationship before task. Keep the relationship primary and task secondary. If I can do that, and my God, it sounds so simple to say that. But in the moment, over months and years of focus on a specific task, it's a remarkable sort of litmus test or yardstick for how things are going to go. And I think, like I said, I'm getting better at catching it, but I am by no stretch of the imagination perfect at it or even very good at it. It's one that I have to consistently remind myself: relationship before task, and stay with that. And today, what I observed was when I clocked that, and I said, oh, okay, I will not take the bait. I'm not going to get irritated about this totally ridiculous pretext for just stopping. She got upset with me for things that there was just no reason. I was just trying to help, but even like conceding all control, like not trying to impose myself, but it didn't matter. Like no matter what I said, that was the problem. So it was clearly just like, oh, this is a pretext for something. And I could have just thought, well, it's just she doesn't want to practice, and she's being lazy. I could have drawn conclusions that had to do with her relationship to the task. But I don't. And she, on some level, that might even have been what her conscious mind was thinking. I don't want to do this task right now. But that's not what was really happening. What was really happening is she was testing to see if the task was more important than the relationship. And I think that I did an okay job today of making sure that not to communicate the right message there, the reality of the fact that the relationship vastly outweighs the significance of the task. But I can still be tricked, or not really tricked, but I can be pulled into priorities that ultimately aren't my deepest priorities, but that in the moment there's an urgency or there's an impatience that comes up. Unconsciousness. It can only happen in unconsciousness. We never make that choice consciously. but we might unconsciously put the task before the relationship and then realize, oh, no, don't mean that. Let me go in, set that right. So, interesting day. A new lesson every day. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you soon.